Hi guys. Hi Reverend Boyd. Hey y'all. Okay. So today's live, if you're on Instagram, then I told you that I was coming live today at 5. If you're on Facebook, then I didn't tell you guys that I was coming live, but I just decided to come live on here as well. And you can probably tell from the title that today I am going to just be talking about God's provision for the vision. And this is something that God gave me a long time ago, actually while I was doing teachers training at Mount Zion. But he told me to share it with you guys today, so that is what I'm doing. So at the beginning of the year, God actually told me that 2019 was going to be the year of working what you got, or using what he has already given you. He told me that so many of us are waiting on God and like, God, where is my money? I don't have no time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the people that I need to do what you've called me to do. And God is like, oh no, but you do. You just don't see it. But I've given you the stuff already, and you need to use what you already have to produce the vision that I have given you. And so that was the first word that he gave me over 2019. But as I was reading Nehemiah again, he showed me that when you are obedient in that area, when you are obedient in working what God already has, that he is going to go exceedingly abundantly above that, and he's going to give you provision on top of what he's already given you. And so today I want to talk about the 3 things that God is going to provide us if we are obedient with the things that he has already given us. And so, like I said, this is going to be coming out of Nehemiah. So if you want, like, I'm sure you're on your phone, so you probably won't be able to actually look at it. But if you have a physical Bible, you can follow along with me. But so in Nehemiah, at the beginning of Nehemiah, Nehemiah's brother and some of their friends come to Nehemiah, and Nehemiah asks them about the state of Jerusalem. And they tell him that some of the people from Jerusalem have left, have gotten out of captivity, but they're still in distress. They're still in reproach. And he also tells them, they also tell him that the walls of Jerusalem have been broken down and they've been burned. And this really hurt Nehemiah. And so Nehemiah cried and he mourned, and he fasted and prayed before God. And in his prayer, we see that Nehemiah basically just asked God to keep his commandments and God to keep his covenant. And what God's covenant was is that if they came back and they repented for their sins, that he would bring them back together. And so we'll bring them out of their captivity. And so God went ahead. So Nehemiah is praying and he's just like, okay, this is what you said you would do. So now I'm repenting on behalf of me and the rest of the Jews. I'm repenting on our behalf. And I need you to do what you said that you were going to do. And then at the end of that prayer, he says, grant me mercy in the sight of this man, because he was the king's cupbearer. So that's chapter 1. And now we get into Nehemiah chapter 2. And this is where God's provision for the vision that he gave Nehemiah comes in. And so I'm just going to read the scriptures, and then I'll stop and explain when the points come in, the 3 things that God has given us come in. So Nehemiah chapter 2 says, in the month of Nisan, during the 20th year of I can't say the king name, so we're just going to call him King Art. King Art, when wine was before him. This is Nehemiah talking. I took the wine and gave it to the king. Never had I been upset in his presence. So the king said to me, why is your face troubled, though you do not seem sick? This is nothing but a troubled heart. Then I became very much afraid and said to the king, may the king live forever. Why should not my face be troubled when the city, the place of my father's tombs, lies waste, and its gates have been destroyed by fire? So the king said to me, what are you requesting about this matter? Immediately I prayed to the God of heaven, and then said to the king, if this pleases the king, and if this might be good for your servant who is before you, then would you send me to Judah, to the city of my father's tombs, so that I may rebuild it? The king, with the queen sitting beside him, said to me, how long would your journey be, and when will you return? Because it pleased the king to send me, I established a timetable for him. Now, this is why it's so important to go back to chapter 1 and realize that Nehemiah had asked for mercy, for God to grant him mercy in the sight of the king. Because when we get to chapter 2, Nehemiah asks to go to Jerusalem, and it pleased the king to send him. And so the first thing that God is going to provide us with this year is favor with those in authority. God is going to give us favor with those in authority. So it might not just be a person, but it might also be a school or a church or an organization. There are people in authority. There are people who have access to certain things that you do not have access to, and God is going to provide favor to you with those that are in authority. And so I'm just going to read it again. It says, the king, with the queen sitting beside him, said to me, how long would your journey be, and when will you return? Because it pleased the king to send me, I established a timetable for him. So because Nehemiah asked for mercy in front of the king, God granted him favor, and he allowed the king to say, okay, yes, you can go to Jerusalem and help them rebuild the walls and rebuild the city. And so the first thing that God is going to give you is favor in front of people who have the authority to grant you access to do certain things or to enter into certain rooms. So that's the first thing that God is going to give you. Now let's continue reading at verse 7. So it says, I further said to the king, if this pleases the king, may letters be given to me for the governors of the province beyond the river, so that they would allow me to pass through until I come to Judah, as well as a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the Temple Mount, for the city wall, and for the house into which I will enter. The king granted me these things because the good hand of my God was upon me. So not only is God going to provide you with favor with those in authority, but God is also going to provide you with the resources that you're going to need to fulfill the vision. So as you can see in the scripture, in verses 7 through 8, Nehemiah asked the king, well, can you give me a letter so that I can cross the river? And then can you also give me a letter so that I can get some wood so that when I go to the city of Jerusalem, I can rebuild the stuff. And so God is going to provide you with the resources that you need to do what he has called you to do, right? So I know it's kind of like, okay, well, if God's going to provide me with the resources, then why do I need to work what I already have? And it's because God's not going to provide you with those resources unless you're obedient in using what he's already given you. See, the whole thing is that we have to be intentional and obedient about doing what he's already told us to do with what he's already given us, so that so that he knows that he can trust you, right? He knows that you're going to be faithful over what he has already given you, because if you're not going to be faithful over what he's giving you, why would he add to that, right? So God is going to provide you with the resources that you need, but it's only if you hi boo, it's only if you use what he has already given you. So God's going to provide you with favor with those in authority, but he's also going to provide you with the resources that you need. And so God has actually been working on this with me, because he actually told me, for those of you that don't know, I'm in the process of releasing a book. And so God told me to do a photo shoot for it, and I'm just like, okay, that's fine, but like, I haven't been working since December, so like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this photo shoot. And he's like, okay, well, this is who I want you to do the photo shoot with, so just reach out to the person. And I'm like, okay, but like, what is the point of reaching out, right? So that's how my mind is thinking. Like, I don't really want to reach out, but I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna be obedient. So I reach out to the guy. I'm like, hey, I wanted to see if you could take some pictures for me, blase blase. The guy gives me his quote, and I'm just like, all right, God, like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I don't have the money to pay him for this. And God was just like, just wait. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just waiting. And then my mom says that my refund will be here soon. And I'm like, okay, not really like feeling no type of way about it, because, you know, my parents pay for pretty much everything. I don't really work a lot. So it's like, my refund's not going to be nothing worth caring about, really. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then she tells me the amount of my refund. And I'm like, oh, is that so? Like, my refund is like 4 or 5 times what I usually get, right? And I'm like, oh God, like, I see what you did there, right? And he's like, yeah, and it's because of your obedience. It's because you stepped out on faith. It's because you stepped out and reached out to the guy even when you didn't see how it was going to work. That's why I blessed you with the extra resources. It's because you were obedient. And so that's why I really want to push that God's provision comes from your obedience. If you're only a little bit obedient, you're only going to get a little bit of provision, right? If you're obedient and he can see that he can trust you, then he's going to give you more, because he knows that he can trust you. It's the same thing like if you have a friend who borrows money from you, but you know that you cannot trust them. You're not going to be like, well, yeah, here's 1,000. Like, you don't trust that they're going to give it back. So why would God trust you with that? Right? And so when you're obedient, God is able to say, okay, I see that they're obedient. I see that they're faithful. Hi, Destiny. And he'll be like, okay, they've done what they were supposed to do with this. Now I can trust them with more. So not only is God going to provide favor with those in authority, but he's also going to provide resources. And so that was from Nehemiah 2:7-8. And so we're just going to continue with Nehemiah 2:9. And it says, when I came to the governors of the province beyond the river, I gave them the king's letters. He also sent with me commanders of foot and horse soldiers. When Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite subordinate heard this, it deeply grieved them that there was a man coming to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. And so this is not an actual point, but I just want to point out here that when you're on a mission to fulfill God's vision, there are going to be some people that are not happy with you coming to help those who are struggling, right? Because it says that Sanballat and Tobiah were deeply grieved that someone was coming to help the Israelites. Like, they were deeply grieved that somebody was coming to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. They were deeply grieved that someone was coming to help the people of Israel. And so I want you to understand that when you are starting to go through the vision and you're starting to do what God has called you to do, there are going to be some people who are not very happy about it. And you just have to understand that that's just part of the territory. So we can continue with verse 11, and it says, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase. So Nehemiah arrives in Jerusalem, and he was there 3 days. And so basically Nehemiah just goes throughout the night, and he rides by the valley gate toward the dragon's well, and then he goes to the dung gate, and he was just inspecting the city, and he was just going to see the broken walls of Jerusalem and the gates that they had told him were burned. And so he passed by the fountain gate, and so basically he was just going around the whole city, looking at the gates, looking at the walls. And so eventually he starts to talk to the people of Jerusalem in chapter 2, verse 17. And he says, finally I said to them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem is devastated and its gates are burned with fire. Come and let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem so that we will no more be a reproach. Then I told them that the hand of my God had been good to me, and also about the king's words that he had spoken to me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for the good work. So this is the third thing that God's going to provide you with this year. God is going to provide you with the right people. So Nehemiah he was sent and he was like, okay, God, I know you're calling me to rebuild the wall, but I can't do it all alone. And so he tries to tell them, well, God's hand is on this, and God has told me that we are going to rebuild the wall. And God makes it so these people's hearts are open and they're like, okay, let us rise up and build. And it says, so they strengthen their hands for the good work. God is going to place people around you that are going to help you do the good work. And even if they're not helping you build the wall, or they're not helping you actually bring forth the vision, God is going to place people in your life who are going to cover you. God's going to place people in your life who are going to pray for you. Like, for example, Destiny. Like, God is going to place people in your life that are going to help you in any way that you need help. Because he has called you to do this thing. So whatever vision God has given you, you have to understand that, yes, it may feel like you're alone, but God is placing people around you. God is placing people in your path who are going to help you bring this thing through. And I want you to know that God says it is not good for man to be alone. He says that iron sharpens iron. He says that two is better than one. Because we can hold each other accountable. We can strengthen each other. We can lift each other up. We can build each other up. And so God is going to provide you with the right people this year. God is going to bring people in your life. And I'm literally seeing that in my own, like, I'm literally seeing that happen before my eyes. And it's so crazy, especially as someone who has come, yes, exactly, accountability. Especially as someone who has come from feeling very, especially when I got like serious in God, I felt very isolated, very lonely, very I'm not gonna like, just like, I'm just doing this thing by myself. Like, I'm going through this thing, I'm trying to fulfill my purpose, I'm trying to do this thing, and I felt like I was doing it all on my own. And God was saying, you're not doing it all on your own. I'm just bringing the people in your life, but I can only bring them to you when you're ready for them. Because had God brought certain people into my life 2 years ago, I would have been too shy, too quiet, too timid to even develop these relationships with them. I would have never been obedient. If I had found Destiny 2 years ago and he told me to comment on her live video, I would have been like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm not even at that place, right? So I wouldn't have even been obedient in that. But he knew exactly when I needed that to come into my life. And so God is very intentional about the people that he's bringing. So if you are like me and you felt like, okay, God, well, he hasn't brought anybody this far. Like, I'm still lonely. I'm still going through things by myself, or I'm still taking everything on my shoulders by myself. I want you to know that God is very intentional about what he's doing, and he doesn't bring stuff too early or too late. He's going to bring the right people, but it's going to come at the right time. And we have to understand that the right time is not our time. Even though I wish, sorry, my brother called me, even though I wish it was my time, it's not. So God is going to bring people in at the right time, and it's going to be at the time that you need them. Even though you think that you need them now, God is going to bring people in when you actually need them. So just to give a recap, at the beginning of this year, God said, this is the year of working what you got. Stop asking me for stuff when you haven't used what I already have given you, right? So God is saying, work what you got. But he is also saying, once you're obedient there, once you use the resources that I have already given you, once you stop wasting the time that I have already given you, once you stop asking me for more time, more money, more resources, once you use that and you're obedient there, then I can provide you with this provision. And so the provision that he's going to provide you on top of what he's already given you is he's going to provide you favor with those in authority, right? Because he provided Nehemiah with favor and with the king. He's also going to provide you with the resources because he provided Nehemiah. He allowed the king to give Nehemiah the letter to cross over through the rivers and the letter to get the wood to rebuild in Jerusalem. And then he's also going to provide you with the right people, because Nehemiah literally, all he had to go and say was, I'm coming here to rebuild the wall. God told me, God's hand is all up on it. And the people were like, oh yes, like they literally said, let us rise up and build. Like they were down. And so God is going to bring you people that are down for the cause. God is going to bring you people who want to help push you into your purpose and don't want to pull you out of it. God is bringing people who are going to help you manifest the vision, but it all starts with your obedience. It all starts with your obedience. The provision is attached to your obedience. So you can't say, yes, God is going to give me provision this year. I'm so excited. And then be like, but I'm not going to do anything before that. I'm not going to do anything he told me to do. Ashton said that he's going to give me provision. Well, remember that Ashton said that the provision is attached to your obedience. So if you're giving him a little bit of obedience, he's going to give you a little bit of provision. So that is everything that I had to tell you guys. Thank you to everybody who came on, and thank you to everybody who is going to watch the replay. But yeah, that's really all that I had for you guys. And yeah. I was so nervous this whole time. Y'all know I'm very shy and I do not like getting on this video. But God is pulling me out of my comfort zone, and he is taking me in a different direction. He has told me that my writing is cool, but I also got to use my voice. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm very excited to see what he does in the lives of all the people that I am ministering to and talking to. Yes, obedience. Look, if I'm gonna preach it, I gotta do it, huh? So yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. So I'm going to talk to you guys later. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I hope y'all get up and go to church tomorrow. If you do not have a church home, my church home live streams, so you can find them on Facebook at Mount Zion Kalamazoo, or you can go to mountzionkalamazoo.org, and then you can go to watch live tomorrow. We have a service at 7:45. We have a service at 10:45, and then we also have fulfillment hour, or like what y'all call it, Sunday school. We have Sunday school at I gotta plug. I want to see y'all all there tomorrow because I'm at home, so come see me at church tomorrow. If you're a millennial, we have a great millennials class that you can come to tomorrow at 9:45. If you come at 9 o'clock, you can get breakfast. So yeah, I want to see y'all at church tomorrow, or if you're not at church, be listening to some word, okay? Get under a pastor who's going to cover you and teach you the word of God. The word of God, the Bible, not the word of man, not the stuff that we've been learning from these Instagram preachers, but get under people who are teaching the Bible, okay? So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm done preaching at y'all, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.